everybody, here we are again with another Concrete Matter Instagram TV in our series, in our continuing series. This is number 5 and we're calling it the Inglorious Bastards episode. We're going to focus on some of the more rugged, extreme types of jackets that we have. I'm going to get some help later on, but I'd like to start with this guy. It's an Swedish M1909 winter Parka. And I think they've sacrificed at least 2 sheep to make it like this. It's an incredibly warm jacket. The sleeves are lined with sheepskin, big mutton collar. And it's basically, the jacket was meant for the Swedish troops protecting the Finnish border, because the Finns were actually collaborating with the Germans because they wanted to keep the Russians out. Anyway, along the border there were guys in these types of jackets in sub-zero conditions trying to keep a border safe, which was never compromised. For some reason, at one point there were some entrepreneurial minded guys from the Waterlooplein, not far from here, I think the 1980s, and they had a hunch that there might be some cool gear to be gotten over in Sweden, and they also knew how expensive alcohol was, so they loaded the crate of Johnny Walker Black Label and basically drove out there. They found some surplus docks, like military compounds, and with the help of the liquid in the bottles, they were able to get access to some shed in the back, but you need to dig it out yourself. So here's the shovel. That's how the story goes. And they literally went through, 2 meters of snow, and they dug themselves out. And there were these storage units which still had tons of these coats because they were never really used. And they brought them back to the Netherlands. So we're lucky that relatively, on a world scale, I would say, this amazing jacket can be found here sometimes. It's also used by reenactors wanting to reenact the German Parka from the Second World War, because it's kind of similar. But this is the Swedish one. This is the army version. You do see it in a civilian version, then there's a different label here. And every so often, very seldomly, we find it in white. It's a snow version. That's even rarer than this one. Yeah, a jacket for the Arctic season, an amazing piece. I would like to ask Rocco to come forward, and Thomas as well. Oh, Thomas first?
Yeah, me first.
Thomas first. To show, this is a Dutch Jeep coat, very heavily designed after the jacket that's coming after this. That's the British Jeep coat. It was worn by guys, dispatch riders, riding in Jeeps. You see the nice bands, you can put it around your legs. It's super heavy, strong, thick cotton with a wool collar, pop-up collar. They would wear layers underneath it, and it would basically keep you warm and shielded while doing a dispatch in your Jeep. And the design with the high collar, the way the stitching is done so it stays up, is very reminiscent of the jacket Rocco is wearing, which I would like to talk about now. Because this guy is actually the original Jeep coat, Second World War. Some guy completely sewn in another sheep or two. Added some wool on the bottom, but you can still see also here the repairs if you focus it a bit. The original version of this jacket would have been either clasps or the wood toggle structure. If you turn around a little bit, again the super high collar. And this jacket originally was worn by a unit called the Long Range Desert Group. This was a reconnaissance group stationed in North Africa, British Army, and they would drive into the desert very far, just check out the German activity. And they became famous basically because they were the ones that were driving the SAS, the Special Air Service, the first real special forces unit to have been made into the desert to do their thing. Yeah, but this is the Jeep coat, same pocket structure as the Dutch one, very heavy, close knit cotton quality, wool pop-on collar, very rugged piece. And yeah, we sometimes have them, but they're really rare. So that's those. Thomas is watching at the movie instead of doing his job. No worries, we'll wait a little bit. Because he's wearing one of our most, easily one of our most rugged pieces. We picked this one up a couple of years ago on a military fair in Belgium. You already hear the sound of these. Later on, you very often see these types of hooks, musketon hooks in Dutch, in fireman coats. It's amazing how the little hook is connected and still suspended there. But yeah, this one had a cool sort of trench art type. How would you call it? No, that's not the word for it, but like nose art, but it's not a nose, because what this jacket is, if you want to turn around again, it's actually a artillery operator's coat used in the Battle of the Bulge. So in the 1940s, in the Second World War, the Germans were trying to make one last push through the Ardennes. The Americans were there, and it was the shittiest weather you could imagine: rain, snow, cold, miserable conditions. And this amazing piece, it's oiled or waxed, it's super rugged, and this would have been worn by a guy having to man the artillery or the artillery post, basically. Really waterproof because it's like saturated with oil, probably beeswax or I don't know, engine oil for that part, but an amazing piece. Corduroy collar, nice detail you see in many firemen's coats, some Canadian Army coats, and some more civilian type coats as well. Because that's the little bridge to the next coat, which is a Barber. And you see Barber does the same thing with the corduroy collar, a long trench coat. Barber is more known for like waist length trench coats. It has the cool straps around your leg, so I don't know if you're on a horse or if you're on a bike, it'll keep your legs dry. It's always nice how a wax coat becomes sort of wrinkled and shows these little patterns where there's creases and folds. But yeah, of course, lots of civilian fashion or clothing is basically influenced by the army. Pockets similar, and a zip, because that's the more convenient way to go. A chin strap as well. Nice little wax coat from the famous English brand Barber. The guys who basically put the wax coat on the planet and on the market. They're very famous. Yeah, thanks. We're moving on. Like after the Second World War, there was a small period where there wasn't a war. And that makes this jacket actually even rarer, because it's a 1948 piled anorak, so over the head Parka, with an original fur trim collar. The liner can be completely taken out, so you can just wear the anorak, but it's a very warm, very heavy cotton sateen type Parka, a drawstring in the back, so you can tailor it a little bit. Yeah, and you can see the mouton material that keeps it warm. The original label is still there. Big butterscotch buttons, they call these butterscotch buttons. And of course a kangaroo pouch on the front. But then made stylish because, popovers are cool, anoraks are cool, but they're completely original. And I also like the fact that there's a bit of asymmetrical going on in the collar, so you could overlap it when you close it to keep your face from the cold draft. A very uncommon jacket, not lots known about it. Basically because it was not featured in any major theater of war. But if you look at the design and the way everything is done, like the little leather thing on the to protect it over there, so many cool details. And it looks like a fashion piece, but it's completely original, 1948, stamps, dated, everything, military piece. So there we go. Because it looks a bit like a fishtail parka, but the one that's coming up next, we've talked about it in the field jackets a little bit, but this is the real full-on deal. This has got everything. This is the M65 fishtail parka. It has the liner, long liner, which makes it an incredible warm jacket. It has the detachable wool-lined hood, thanks Rocco, with the synthetic fur trim around it.
Steel.
Yeah, a steel rim, so you can bend it around your helmet and make sure it fits. You can fold it back a little bit as well. An amazing piece. Fishtail parka, because there's the little loop. You can loop your legs around it. This is the actual fishtail here. Drawstring, and especially when it's complete like this, it's very rare, and it's so beautiful. So many parkas and fashion, civilian fashion I should say, after this. This is an original 1970s dark brass zip. Yeah, original 1970s M65 fishtail parka. Super cool piece. Yeah, thanks Mark. This is a short video on some of the more badass jackets that we have. Inglorious Bastards, we call them. Stay tuned for some discounts on these very hard to find pieces, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.